vividly when I was just a boy of 7 or 8 with messy blonde hair and my head in the clouds. I had a very strange dream that I never told anyone about. Until now. I wanted to be Sun Wukong, not a superhero in a cape, not an ancient Scottish knight, but a stone monkey who could fly on clouds, wield a Ruyi Jingu wand, and challenge the heavens. I know that sounds crazy. A boy growing up in the cold Scottish countryside, running around in grassy hills and pine forests all day, being fascinated by a mythical character from faraway China. But I watched an old Chinese version of Journey to the West on a small convex screen TV tuned to a wire. And I was completely captivated by Sun Wukong. The way he flew through the clouds, the way he laughed arrogantly at the sun, and the carefree yet profound gaze, as if he knew all the sorrows of the world and still chose to play with it. I used a broom as a Ruyi scepter, wore a yellow nightgown, and tied a red scarf around my forehead. I even climbed the apple tree behind the house to practice somersault clouds, almost breaking my arm several times and getting scolded by my mother countless times. Once I told my mother, "Mom, I don't want to be a firefighter or a doctor. I want to be Sun Wukong." My mother laughed, but she didn't extinguish my dream. She said, "Then you have to learn to transform, concentrate, and take responsibility for your mischief." I didn't understand it all at the time, but now that I think about it, maybe my mother knows that children's dreams always have deep seeds. I don't just want to be a monkey, I want to be free. I want to have no limits. I want to protect the weak, even if I have to face Buddha. Growing up, I didn't become the real Monkey King. I didn't have a cloud, I didn't have a staff, I didn't have 72 magic tricks. But I became an actor. And every time I took on a challenging role, I thought of the stone monkey. In fact, every time I stood on set, raising my sword in the mountain wind or riding a horse across the fields, I was still living a part of that old dream. I was still the blonde boy from back then, playing stories bigger than myself, to remind myself that limits only exist when we forget to dream. And if one day a director comes along to remake Journey to the West in a more global, modern, and profound way, I would be the first to apply for the role of Monkey King. Really, just give me a Ruyi Jinga and some eyeliner, and I promise to show the world Stone Monkey can have a Scottish accent too. 15 years after I climbed the apple tree and dreamed of being the Monkey King, I was starring in a blockbuster sci-fi series, walking red carpets, drinking whiskey with directors, and doing action scenes in ancient Scottish castles. But then a phone call changed everything. Sam, the American agent, said, "Are you interested in reading for the Monkey King?" I was stunned for a second. I thought they had the wrong person. "What did you say, monkey? Monkey?" "Yeah, they're doing a postmodern Journey to the West action philosophy sci-fi. A Matrix meets Marvel, but with a monkey as the lead. They want you to audition. They like the wild, crazy look in your eyes." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The kid in me was jumping for joy. The audition was strange. I wore light armor, a stylized golden crown, and a scalable light stick created by a famous visual effects company. They asked me to try out a scene. Sun Wukong confronts a giant AI, a digital Buddha. He is given a choice between cold immortality and human death. I remember screaming I was trapped under a rock for 500 years, but my heart never gave up. Do you think data can bind the soul? The set fell silent. The Korean director in a beanie grinned. That's our Monkey King. The role was more than a dream come true. It was redemption for my childhood. It was a hug I sent back to the blonde-haired boy who had jumped off the sofa and shouted, "Somersault Cloud" all summer long. We shot in the Arabian desert, the jungles of Thailand. And there were some very introspective scenes in a simulated space station. My version of Wukong fights not only with the stick, but also with loneliness, bravery, and a desire to be understood. When the film was released, someone said, "Is a white Sun Wukong speaking English with a Western spirit of adventure? Is that offensive?" I understand that question, and I said, Sun Wukong, above all, is a symbol of freedom, rebellion, and the desire to transcend human limits. That spirit knows no boundaries. Now, when asked which role I am most proud of, I don't say Jamie Fraser. I say I was the stone monkey who flew through the stars. And I will never forget the little boy inside me who dreamed of it for so long. After the film was released, I thought things would settle down, as they always do. A few press conferences, lengthy magazine interviews. Then I would return to Scotland, live quietly in the hills, continue practicing Shakespeare, and drinking tea with my mother. But no, an email from the Chinese crew landed in my inbox. The subject line read, "We want to bring you back to premiere the film in the hometown of Sun Wukong." I sat silently all afternoon. There was something like fate knocking on my door. A circle was about to close. The journey to the east. I landed in Beijing in the middle of autumn. The air was clear, the wind was gentle, and thousands of red hanging lights were as bright as in an ancient dream. From the airport, I was surrounded by a crowd of fans like no other. Some in Taoist robes, some dressed as Tang monk, and a group of teenagers holding plastic rui sticks, shouting, "Long live the great sage equaling heaven." I laughed, but inside I was filled with tears. They embraced me, a foreigner, as a small part of their cultural icon. Not because I was perfect, but because I truly loved Sun Wukong, meeting the legend. They took me to a major TV talk show. What I didn't know was the special audience member that day was Liu Xiaoling Tong, the man who played the classic Sun Wukong in the 1986 film. When he emerged from the backstage, I jumped up like a child. This man had touched my soul from halfway around the world 30 years earlier. We bowed to each other, he in the Eastern way, I in the European way. Then he said, "You brought Sun Wukong to another world. Thank you for that." I choked up. No role, no golden statue could compare to that statement. Night on Huago Mountain. Before leaving China, I was invited to film an interview on the real Huago Mountain, the place the locals still believe is the home of the Monkey King. As I stood in the mist, looking down at the green valleys, holding a hand-carved bronze rui scepter, I felt strangely at peace. A child inside me whispered, "We're back." My childhood dream had not only come true, it had become a bridge between two cultures, two worlds, two parts of myself. Sam, the blonde boy on the Scottish grassy hill, and Sun Wukong, the one who defied the heavens to protect his true heart. If you ask me, is there any role I would like more, I would say, no need. I was a rock monkey, and that was enough.